I always used to feel guilty because you're in orthopedics and you see patients with knee pain who are obese, and you tell them, Madam, you have to start exercising, walking. But then I would feel inside me a small prick that, come on, you are not healthy and you're not the right weight. And it reached a point where my blood tests and my blood levels were like reaching the borderline. And that's when I thought, okay, I should start reducing my weight.
I am Venki, a working professional in IT as well as an amateur masters athlete and a coach for endurance sports. You are listening to the Working Athlete podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, I have a small request from you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also let me know what you like and what you would like to listen to more of by commenting in the comment section on YouTube. I promise to do my best to improve with each episode and bring you the best content that helps you and me get better each day. In this episode, we talk to Dr. Francis Roy. I met Dr. Roy during the recently concluded Tour of Nilgiris that I was part of. He is an orthopedic surgeon who lost more than 30 kgs and in the process learned of a whole new world with better nutritional practices to help us live better lives. In this episode, he shares his learnings in nutrition that helped him lose the extra weight and lead a healthy life. It was a really interesting discussion with him on various dietary practices and how they could help us. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers. And it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenki on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast.
Hi, Dr. Roy. Welcome to the Working Athlete podcast. Hi, Venki. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've been following your videos for a long time after I became a cyclist, and I think you have a wide spectrum of interests you have created personally in me, and it was a great opportunity to meet you in this ride.
Great. So here we are actually recording this on a rest day on a Tour of Nilgiris. We are in Ooty and on a rest day. And I happened to meet Dr. Roy yesterday on the ride actually and got to know about his transformational journey. So I wanted to use this opportunity to share his inspiring story with the audience and get to know more about him. So Doctor, let us start by talking about what was your relationship with sports growing up.
Growing up, I was very athletic. I was in a boarding school, so we were actually graded by our ability to do sports than studies. And I was a 200-meter and a 400-meter runner.
Wow!
And we used to compete in the school games and everything. And that was in school. But later on, as you become going into college, You really don't have time for this. College, we had a little on athletics, but not much. I used to play football in college, and that was it. And then when you get into active life and when you're a surgeon, then you really don't get into sports. Maybe walking here and there. That's
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and once you become a doctor, you are an orthopedic surgeon, right? And as everyone kind of comes to accept the fact that doctors are busy, they have like a full schedule packed like an hourly basis, even down to 5 minutes blocks, right? So how has the life became from someone who was active growing up, who was into sports? How has that life changed?
I was a few years in UK doing my masters and also working there for 2 years. And at that time, my life became a little active because it was not I was in Scotland, so it was not a big city. You could walk around everywhere. And studying, doing your masters, you didn't have a big car or anything like that, so you wouldn't like to take the taxi every time. So we used to walk from work to the house, and that was one period you felt that I was also very light at that time. And after that, when you get home, we run a family hospital. So and my parents were old, and so we had to like completely take the responsibility of the running of the hospital and everything and changing things. And life got busy, as you said. It was like probably 20 hours a day in hospital, and sometimes you sleep in the hospital because they have not be a duty doctor, something like that. And you are maybe on holidays, you could work out or do anything. And slowly the weight started increasing, but then you were active, so you didn't mind anything much.
And then so during this period of busy life with your practice and everything, you mentioned that you got to 116 kilos.
I always used to feel guilty because you're in orthopedics and you see patients with knee pain who are obese, and you tell them, Madam, you have to start exercising, walking. But then I would feel inside me a small prick that, come on, you are not healthy and you're not the right weight. And it reached a point where my blood tests and my blood levels were like reaching the borderline. And that's when I thought, okay, I should start reducing my weight. And initially I was on a paleo diet for about 9 months, and I got down from 116 to about 90.
When was
90
this?
kids. This was in 2013.
All right.
2013. And then again I put on weight because I was not regular on it. And then around 2016-17 I started seriously again. And at that time I started on again a paleo diet, and then exercising also.
Okay. So how did what does the paleo diet involve, and what were the things that you were taking care of?
Paleo diet is mainly you stick to proteins and proteins and fat, and you completely avoid the carb part of it. Our whole system works differently when you feed it protein and fat, and not give even a small amount of carbs, and off dairy, and you could take nuts. And even vegetarian, you can do paleo because you have soya, you have black gram, you have paneer. You could do paleo. And the part of it is that the body sort of switches over from storing your sugars in a different way. It's more glycolysis than with insulin and sugars.
Okay. And is this something that was that you were able to sustain? Was it sustainable?
It is not sustainable. It needs a lot of effort from the home side,
Right.
because somebody has to make it for you.
Exactly.
And Incidentally, I'm a good cook, so I am able to do my own stuff now, so it's okay. But it is difficult. The second thing is you are not you are we have two great addictions. One is your white rice and your white sugar, and that's something very difficult to sustain for a long time.
Right.
And a small amount of carbs in a paleo diet is almost like poison.
Wow.
Because once carbs go in, the body starts metabolizing the protein and fat into triglycerides. And if you are going to eat even small, say I eat only half idli or I take just half chapati with my meat, then the whole equation changes, and it becomes like you become your cholesterol shoot up, your total triglycerides, and all of them like shoot up a lot. So in paleo, there is no scope for any carbs.
But are you currently on paleo?
After I reached 90, my weight wouldn't go down. And that's when I started running. And running was causing me knee pain. So then I started cycling. And I still remember the first 20 kilometers it did was a big thing for me from what it is now. Then on, I went into researching about a lot of diet and a lot of things in what is happening in the metabolism, even though I'm a doctor. And I realized that I could go to a low carb diet just to maintain it and more practical.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is what you follow right now?
Then it evolved. Doctors, actually, the problem is most doctors don't study about, we do not have a subject called nutrition in our curriculum.
Yeah.
And we've been advocating our people that we should have, other than anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and a paper in nutrition for first year MBBS students. Because we know what happens to the food after it gets into the body. We do not know what to put in the body.
Right.
And today all the diseases are because of that. So doctors are not really aware of what happens in nutrition or what has changed in nutrition in over the last probably 10 years. 10 years, there has been tremendous research that has been going on, especially because of the sports medicine and performance coming up, and older people getting into sports and they want to become healthier, younger, and things like that. So that taught me a lot of things. And today I follow a one meal plan. One meal plan. And I think you would have heard about deep nutrition. The concept of deep nutrition is like, see, we are not Indians. We are all clans. In the sense we are divided by caste systems in various places. And even the same caste people in a different location would eat differently, traditionally. Probably during our great-grandfather's time, we were all small tribes. So generalizing us is the biggest problem. Why? Because morphologically, if you see a person from a certain clan and you are from that area, then you can always tell that this person belongs to that clan. So our genetics have designed our morphology, evolved over 2000 years to bring out what we are. And we can't be generalized. That's what deep nutrition says. As much as the genetic morphology is important or evolved, the food we take are in our genes. So if, for example, making generalized, if a South Indian eats chapati, the forefathers would have never eaten wheat. So it would not, his genes or his body would not know what protein it is.
Right.
So it finds it difficult to metabolize, even though we have been eating it. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if you see, most of South Indians had only one meal a day. When our forefathers were here. Morning they used to have some liquid diet or leftover ganjis. That was the diet. And if you are very hungry in the middle, they used to have black coffee with the local made sugars, or they would used to have either millets ganji or something like that. So it was only one meal, and we never had a concept of breakfast, dinner, and lunch. That was not in our system. So these are all engraved in our genetics. This is how we were eating. And we didn't have a fixed time for eating, as the Westerners said, modern medicine says it is. We used to eat they used to go to the field, carry their food along. It usually would be rice, brown rice, because there was no white rice, and local vegetables. We didn't have carrots, we didn't have cauliflowers, or local vegetables. And depending upon the clan, some used to eat fish, some used to eat small fish, some used to take chicken, some meat. So all this was there. And they would eat between 12 and 4. It was not fixed. They would work in the field. Whenever you're hungry, you come and eat, and then you go back to work or get home. Some clans only ate in the night. So what deep nutrition says is that you have to eat like your great grandfather. Don't eat anything your grandmother did not know. And it has to be eaten in a way that it was cooked, how it was cooked, what time it was taken, and what was the basic ingredients we had. So that's what I follow now. I take one meal in the afternoon between 12 to 4, whenever I'm hungry between work. And usually it's brown rice or millets. And at night, I usually take some fruits with milk, or I finish my dinner by about 7 now. And morning, I usually am able to starve, so I start at 11. Morning, I have black coffee, so I get a intermittent fasting inbuilt in the. Actually, we had that inbuilt in our system.
Right.
We used to eat at 6:30. Then morning 7, we used to eat. Every day, we used to get a 12 hours intermittent fast.
Right. So a couple of things here. One is when you say, don't eat anything that your grandmother did not know. How do you manage it in this day and age?
Today, the biggest problem is all our food has got sugars. One. Second is sugar is proved beyond doubt. It's 30% more addictive than heroin or cocaine.
Wow.
So getting out of sugar is a very, very difficult task. We might be able to do it about, say, 50%. And getting out of sugar is next to impossible if unless you become a diabetic and you force yourself, or you become pre-diabetic.
When you are talking about sugars, we are not even talking about processed actual sugar, but the sugars that are there in carbs and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what I mean is today's cooking, or if you see now most of the food, even if you for the sake take white rice, it's processed food now.
Yeah.
It's polished and loses all its value. So everything has become processed. And if you go to shelves of the market, buy bread, for that matter, the bread when we were kids used to stay for 2 days. The next day it will start molding.
Right.
Today, if you leave a bread on the shelf outside for a week or 10 days, nothing happens to it. So you have to understand how much of non-oxidative agents and chemicals that are added to it. So all the food has become adulterated in a way. And sugar is the major adulteration. Even if you go to a hotel and eat sambar, they want to enhance the taste of the chutney. They add a little sugar to it so that it tastes nice.
Right.
So getting off sugar is a very, very difficult thing. I would say practically impossible. And when we travel and everything, we get to eat sugar. But try to cut off as much as you can. Or if you are at home, there is a new concept in UK. It's called doctor at home. So a doctor comes to your house once you are pre-diabetic or something, and he checks your house. It's like if you're an alcoholic and if you keep bottles of alcohol in your house, you're not be able to resist it. So same way, the first thing they do is clean the house. They come to the house, sit with the housewife, and because in the cities, if you see people buy in stock so many things in their house, so get all the sugars of your house and get all the high cholesterol stuff, everything out of the house. And so once you de-addict your house, then is the first step to going off sugar. Just keep brown sugar if you want. And the family, people always, when I talk to my patients, they always tell, when I tell them, get off the sugar, don't buy white rice. Just buy white rice. No, my children are there. But actually, I have found in my own children, initially there was a resistance to white sugar and white rice. But now they enjoy this more. When my son asks, get brown bread. So it's not the children is a factor which all the parents or all families say that we need white sugar in the house. So get your house out of that's to be the first step, and it really helps. I've gone through it. Yeah.
Right. So and then you're talking about basically glycemic index, and high glycemic index foods are those that get absorbed very quickly, right?
Yeah.
So you basically have to make sure that the foods that you are putting in your body are slow digesting and absorbed slowly, and they take their time and stuff like that.
In eating food should be in a sequence. I think traditionally we had a very good way of eating food and we have lost it. First thing, if fat goes in, like you have a small spoon of ghee before you start, it sort of coats your stomach and reduces absorption. The second thing would be plain vegetables. Eat some vegetables without rice. And the third thing would be proteins. Take some protein, maybe with rice or without rice. And then the last thing would be your curd, dahi, or if you need dessert. Yeah. So if you go it in that order, what happens is that the fiber in the vegetables and the ghee forms your major of your absorption happens in the duodenum. So it forms a sort of a coating over the duodenum, and whatever carbs you're taking gets absorbed slowly.
What is duodenum?
Duodenum is the first part of the intestine.
Oh, okay.
And the small intestine's first part is where major of the absorption takes place. The second thing is what we have to understand about these high glycemic thing is, it is like when you have high glycemic food, like say an ice cream or something like that, your immediate body response is to kick on the insulin, and it goes on a surge. Now it's like squeezing the insulin. It's like just holding a towel and then drying it up. What happens in when you reduce the high glycemic and let the sugars get in slowly, it becomes a plateau. So the insulin normally secretes. So every time you're going to do this insulin secretion, the spikes, the pancreas gets fatigued. The other thing about high index glycemic food is that people talk about insulin a lot, but the insulin is not the main factor. The factor is glucagon. This is another, if you see in any hormone cycle, there will be one which helps secretes, one which stops, and one again helps to secrete. It's like a cycle. So glucagon is the one which stops. It tells the pancreas, stop, insulin is enough. Now, if you can imagine an analogy like a bus, the bus is 30 seats. So main job of the insulin is like a conductor. So this conductor lets the people get in. Okay. Now, when you give we take a very high glycemic index food, the conductor will not, it will be like a bus which is on a rush hour, that the conductor will not be able to hold. So there are so many people coming in. It will be a 30 seated bus, but it will have 300 people in. Because insulin has to hyperact, because our general body our genetics are made from very long that we have to have fat when we are starving. So the basic thing is, okay, food is coming, so let's store it. That's what the insulin would do.
Okay. So coming to practically, say for someone listening to this, what would be the practical, diet that you would, suggest, or what is the what are the kind of foods that you eat currently?
To start with, first get off white sugar, get off white rice, clean your house. It's okay to have brown sugar, but even if you're able to get out of brown sugar, because we get enough sugar in all the processed food we eat. Morning, generally, I would suggest liquid diet early in the morning, and before you go to work, less of a carbohydrate or a complex carb. Like if you make idli, add some millet flour to the idli flour, or dosa, add a little. The idli is a very good food in a way, but if you are able to skip that for about 2 or 3 days in a week and switch to something else, it would be good. And another way is to skip breakfast completely if you can, because a lot of people who work in IT and everything, they skip their breakfast. There's nothing wrong in skipping a meal. If you're able to do that, then skip your breakfast. Have a healthy lunch. Lunch more traditional, I would say. If you're a non-vegetarian, it's okay to take non-veg chicken or fish, which would be better than meat, and with brown rice and a lot of vegetables. Probably 2 vegetables, some chicken and rice, and you can have curd if you want to. Fats are not really bad for us. We need fats. And dinner, I would say a very light dinner. Again, don't go for idli, dosa. And the problem today, why diabetes is so high, is morning idli, dosa, upma, everything is another form of rice. And appam, everything. And in the night and afternoon, you have a full meal. Then night again you have the idli, dosa, appam, idiyappam, whatever it is, in a different form, or chapati. All of them are the same. So you're all on a lot of carbs. And if you go look at our meal portion, what I tell is reverse your plate, because we are used to keeping small amounts of vegetables and then a big portion of rice. If you reverse the plate, you have a small portion of rice and have a lot of, which should be more practical.
That is very helpful. So for someone like you and me who are into endurance sport, carbs become a very kind of the basic fuel mechanism. And also, typically our workouts are in the mornings. So, would it be kind of feasible to kind of skip breakfast and stuff?
When I was a student, the metabolism I was taught was glucose based. But there is enough and more evidence now in research. There are so many people who have done research, especially with sporting, that when we are in zone 1, zone 2, our body uses only fats and protein, which is in complete opposite of what I read in medical school. Now, what we have to understand is we have enough of protein and fat stored in us as athletes, which would what body would use. When we go into zone 3 and zone 4, when we are really exerting or taking a climb or something like that, when our heart rate crosses 160, that's when the body starts using glucose. Why? Because that is when it is needed urgently. So the heart has to work, the lungs has to pump, everything has to work. So glucose is a fast source of protein for energy. So we are on a protein and more protein and fat diet, and less on carbs is always helpful. And morning starvation is very good for us because our cycle starts with an empty stomach. Or what I would adjust is take a healthy soup. It can be bone broth, or it can be barley, it can be horse gram. Horse gram barley is a very good combination. It has got proteins and very complex proteins. It's easy to make, just equal portions, hot water, make a shake. And I am not a big favorite of the artificial ones, because most of them, if you read into that, they've got sucralose for sweetening.
Correct.
And they have sometimes an odd smell for us to drink, and we love take it like medicine.
Right.
So I would suggest going on a light protein drink in the morning, which is natural. Even ganji is good. And probably if you want, you can take 2 eggs, boiled eggs, before you start.
Right. So that is good. I mean, if you are, from what I hear from you, if I want to summarize, it will be, if you are doing low intensity of rides, skipping breakfast is not an issue. But if you are going for intervals or high intensity workouts, you can maybe use a sports drink that to fuel the workout, and you should be good.
Carbs are definitely needed when we are on a high, say we are going for a 200-kilometer ride or 100-kilometer ride or even a 50-kilometer ride. Carb is definitely needed. But it is better to be taken at the middle of the ride or something, rather than stuff ourselves in and then go off it. But if you can know the amount of calories you're going to, normal calorie you spend about 1,500 to 2,000 in a day, and if you're on a 50-kilometer ride, you'll do something like, say, 2,000 at the max. So you have a 500 calorie deficit, so you can eat that much more. Take extra cup of rice than you normally eat, or things like that would keep us going. And for us in sports and long distance sports, we definitely need carbs. We need fast acting carbs, and
Especially during the activity.
especially during the activity. And if it's going to be endurance sports, then we need carbs. There's no doubt about it. We can't be compared to a normal athletic person who just goes for a morning ride or a morning walk or a small run or something like that. And the body starts, the concept which is not understood by many is that fat cells are decided when you're 18, and after that you don't grow fat cells. They are completely that number only. They just swell up, they just reduce in number. And for us to maintain our optimal weight in long endurance sports, keeping our muscles strong, so we need to get these fat cells smaller. and a carb diet will not help that.
Right. So when I look at any diet, first thing that comes to mind is the sustainability of it. Right. What are some of the things that can people can keep in mind to ensure that whatever they are taking, whatever their journey they are going to start on, is sustainable?
The first thing is, most of the time we get our extra fat from snacks. So first change the snacks. You can eat groundnuts, you can eat dates and raisins and all the different nuts you have. So carry some dates and nuts and some raisins in your bag. That's a very easy thing which all of us can do. And whenever we are hungry, we can just take a few of them, and you feel energetic, and you're also, or a trail mix or something like that. The other thing is coffee or tea without sugar, or even water is a very good thing for hunger. And many a times we have, when we are thirsty, we think we are hungry. And if you just take a glass of water, then your hunger is gone. It's actually thirst. So that's the first thing to prevent snacking. Then I think all our houses, they cook good, decent food. Maybe there are different needs there, but you can always choose more vegetables, more protein, some healthy fat like ghee, butter, which is available in the house. Just you'll have to organize it for yourself, and reduce on the carbs. The other thing that really helps is sleep. Even though if all that we eat and we are not going to sleep right, then it's going to cause a lot of problem to our metabolism.
Yeah, the importance of sleep cannot be over emphasized. Everything kind of starts from there, I guess. And on a tour like this, I'm actually struggling to sleep, 4-5 hours. But in general, if you are able to, especially because we are into sports, if you are able to maintain 7 to 8 hours of sleep, that would actually, contribute to a lot of your body, rhythms being set on the right path. That is true. And now coming to your journey as a cyclist, right? So when did this? You mentioned that running kind of gave you some knee issues, and that's when you picked up a bike. So how how were the initial years of cycling?
I started cycling in 2002, I think, two initially, but rode for some time. Had a fall with my cleats, and then after that I stopped, and then again started in 2016, and then initially was doing only about 40-50 kilometers. And whenever I used to, there were a few long riders in my town at that time, 2 or 3 of them, and I always used to think these guys are crazy. And I was more scared what would happen to my knees or my back if I start cycling. But what happened was I was stuck to 90 kgs, and I started cycling, and I was not able to do much. I was using MTB and regular hybrid cycle. And that's when I started reading, and I realized if you have to really transform yourself, you need an extra effort. It's not it is not easy, and keeping it sustained for a time. And if you sustain it for more than 3 years, then the body doesn't ask for more food after that. It doesn't. It changes completely. But the initial time was very difficult. I did my first 100. Probably I took about 7 hours to 8 hours for my first 100. But that was like a kick for me. It said, okay, you can do 100, so you can go forward. And initially, the problem is our aches and pains after that. And what we have to understand, our body is changing, and when it is changing, we'll have to do something else also. That we have to have some strength training. We have to have stretching every day. Yoga is very good. If you're a yoga practitioner, it's very good. Do your yogas after your cycling. And of course, the fueling is also very important. And for me, an insight into the nutrition part of it was the biggest contributor to me stepping down from a normal cyclist to an performance cyclist. And another thing is, when you should have a peer group, a group of similar people who push you. Like if there is we start a small community in Tirunelveli called Nelai Bicycle, which has grown phenomenally. They've come about 4-5 clubs out of it, and we have a randonneuring club with it. And so when you have a peer group, or join a peer group which does it, just running or walking or something, and start putting in what you eat and how you're changing, things change a lot. So that is what keeps me going. Another thing is, I read something in Instagram. It said, today it is better than owning a Mercedes to stay healthy at 50.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, even the costliest car is not a status symbol anymore. Being healthy has become a status symbol now.
True.
Not only a status symbol, I think today so much of money is spent into medicine. And say you work really hard till you're 58 or 59 till you retire, to realize that at around 50 you get a list of 2 tablets, then it keeps growing. By the time you retire, you're eating 12 tablets, 2 for diabetes, 2 for hypertension, 2 for heart disease, and some multivitamins. This has become so common, and the health industry, it seems to be thriving on it. And suddenly you realize you're out of job, your health is going down, and you have to come back. And there is no age to come back. I would say it's not like you're 60 also you can change things. It's not like it's not changeable. So if you see people in my age and my 5 years down the line, they're all boggling around hospitals with their health diseases and with no money, because most of them are working in private companies and they don't have any retirement benefits, and it's and health has become so expensive. So I think any age is you can transform yourself. You have to be persistent. You have to have good knowledge, and I think YouTube today has got all the videos. I think you can. It is your limit which you want to push and which you want to read about and what you need to read about, and you'll get enough vast information about it. Get a peer group and get your family healthy. Once you're initially it might be a resistance there, but once you get your kids to cycle with you, take them for walks, and it's a good time to spend, and also the food in the house will become cleaner, and you are able to persistent on it. And I would say to top it all, learn a little cooking, and you'll be able to cook for yourself very easily, because healthy food is easy to make. Actually, it's not complicated.
Right. Excellent. This is all great advice. Coming a little bit more about your cycling. What is your typical riding like nowadays? And
I target about 1,000 kilometers a month. I do around 600 to 800. Some months I do 1,000. This month I would do cross 1,000. And I usually do morning. I get up around 5 and 5:30 on the cycle, and it's become like an addiction for me. I am a good photographer, so my addiction is landscapes was my forte. So sunrise and sunsets are like something I look forward to see every day. So my town is a rural town, and we have a lot of beautiful landscapes. And so we go on trails or on roads, and I come back by 7, and then go for your work. And evening I have about 4 days a week I go for assisted training to a gym. Some days if I'm late, I have a trainer. So I get on the trainer in the night and do a small course of 10 or 12 kilometers. That's my usual thing. And 3 days a week, I get a physio to stretch me. And once a month, I do a 5K and a 10K. That's my run. Yeah.
Okay.
Run. Just because there are events coming up and people will call, please come, sir. And that's the main sporting things I do now. Getting it into lifestyle is just managing your time. Cycling is today, you have good lights, your good rear lights, and you can cycle at any time of the day. or even commute to work. If you are in a good city and you can commute to work in a cycle, if you're not able to find specially time for it. And I think the old saying early to bed and early to rise still stays good. That if you're able to sleep by 10:30 and get up at morning 5, your rhythm is that. Your natural rhythm is that. And yeah, you will definitely get an hour of waste in the morning sitting with a newspaper and a cup of coffee. And getting on a cycle, meeting people, getting other friends to drive with you changes your life a lot and gives a better day actually.
I mean, it's funny when once you mentioned sitting with a coffee and newspaper. What actually kind of is more common nowadays is even sitting on a potty with your phone kills a lot more time than that, right? So you have to kind of look at all those time drains and see how you can plug those drains and put that time whatever you save more productively. Like go even we tend to go with all or nothing mentality most of the times, and if you are able to if I don't have an hour and a half, 2 hours to ride, I don't want to ride. So instead of that, say if you have only a half an hour, if you can squeeze in only half an hour, get on the trainer and do a few intervals, you are sorted for your workout. So that is something that we all have to remind ourselves, and that's excellent. So what are the some of the memorable rides you have done? Share.
For me, I keep myself to one SR every year. I do a 200, 400, and a 600, and a 300. My first 200 was really challenging. It was one of my favorable. I almost finished at the nick of the moment. Good thing about randonnering is what I feel is cycling as such is you don't have a competition. You are your own competition. You can do it at your time, at your pace. If you have friends, fine, even then. This second best, I think, was Dhanashkodi ride to Rameshwaram from Tirunelveli and from Madurai. It's like a ride which will you can't win that ride. It has to give it to you. Otherwise, you can't finish that route. It's so many factors involved. The 2 days of sleeplessness, food, heat, wind, and as you reach the Arichal Munai, that's the tip. It will be like a sandstorm with the sea of both Arabian and the Bay of Bengal on each side. And that was one memorable ride. The other ride was London, Edinburgh, London. And you have to go abroad and see a cycling community to understand how professional and crazy it is in a way. Because everybody is a friend, anybody you can talk to, because all of us are in the same vibe.
Right.
And it's
Cycling family.
Cycling family, and it's crazy because you have people whose knowledge, like Koreans whom I met, they don't know our language, but then they're ready to take your photographs, and they want their photographs back, and it is taken very seriously. Cycling there, and very professionally done, well organized, and the weather, the route, well planned. And in UK, you're not allowed to ride in any of the motorways. You can't even cross a motorway with a cycle. If you have to get to the proper place to cross with a cycle. So all of them are country roads, and they have a lot of small rides too, I think. And Scotland is another place I would love to go and cycle, because that's where I was studied and trained. So I think the problem, as you said, was all or none. Like going to a small grocery shop for your families. Like was your wife says, go get something. You just take your small scooty and go. Take a cycle and go.
Yeah.
You can make small steps towards changing into cycling, to using a small errand on a bike.
Yeah. Excellent. That's very good tips also. What are your views about Tour of Nilgiris now that we are actually in Tour of Nilgiris?
It's excellent in a way, but the routes are all very well planned, and for a randonneur, it's like 5 star,
Yeah.
or even better than 5 star.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Like you have nothing. You
You're
have no
pampered.
support. Yeah, you're pampered. You get physio every day.
Yeah.
You get good food every day. You get all the routes and the markings.
Yeah.
They're excellent. The markings are really wonderful. I don't think you need any navigation
Yeah.
just for the marking. The volunteers are great. The 8 stations are phenomenally packed, and I think and the support. Like you don't want to ride, then you have a sweep vehicles to catch you,
Yeah.
and that's really great. And you don't have don't need special skills.
Yeah.
Like you ride in the night. There's no night ride. It's excellent in that way.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So thanks, Dr. Roy, too, for taking the time and sharing your experience with the Working Athlete podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Venki. On a note, only thing I think to end, I think I should say will be the first generation who will live beyond 100.
Wow.
Because the way medicine is going, way AI is coming into medicine, 15 years from now, medicine would be completely different. And you and I might think we might die at 65 or 70 or 75, but we'll easily cross 100.
Oh,
So it's
great.
very important for us to become younger.
Yeah.
At 50, you should be 30.
Start living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, we call it
now.
as health span.
Yeah.
You should have a health span, not a longevity,
Right.
which will be a suffering for you.
Yeah.
On that note,
On that note, thanks.
thank you.
That was my conversation with Dr. Francis Roy. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.